So a few of y'all have asked me, why am I so bullish on the Sooners outdoing the Vegas number of 7.5 wins next season? And there's a few reasons why. But the main thing I told you all was it's because of defense. I feel like with Brent Venables having the most experienced defense that he's had in a while, well, his entire tenure here, it's going to jump out. Well, one major expert that I do follow and really respect the research that his team does, Phil Steele, the guy that made basically this Bible here. I've read through it. I've dissected it. I've looked at the information he's provided. And he gave his rankings on where Oklahoma ranks as far as the units, the offense, defensive units, and where he sees his team finishing this season. Well, he agrees with me. And a lot of the information he provided is why I'm so bullish. So let's dive into that. I'm going to give you some of the details. I can't give you all of it because you need to go buy the book. Go check out Phil Steele's basically his college football preview at the Bible that a lot of fans that dissect college football dive into. Go pick it up. I'll put a link in the description below for his site, or check it out at Barnes & Noble and all those places. So let's jump into why I'm so bullish on the Sooners. If you stick around, I'm going to give you that final prediction as far as record goes. Before we do that, welcome to Unfair Sports. I'm your host, Jay. Thank y'all for pulling up to the channel. Yep, rocking the throwback t-shirt, one of my favorites. But let's look at what Phil Steele says about the Sooners and why y'all should be excited. So the ref dropped a tweet out, and this has kind of led to me going ahead and finishing up this video, putting it out. I've been working on it since this book came out about 3 weeks ago and just trying to figure out the angle. And this is really the best way to go. It's defense, right? So the ref put out this tweet and it said, Phil Steele's how every position ranks for the Sooners in the SEC. He's got quarterback at 8th, running back at 5, wide receiver at 3, offensive line at 11 out of all the 16 SEC. Ew. But that's the only position that we're in a double-digit spot as we're trying to figure things out. D-line is 7th, linebacker and defensive back, number 1 in the conference, and then special teams is at 5. Now, you're wondering, Jay, wait. He thinks that Oklahoma has the best linebacker and defensive back rooms in the SEC? Absolutely. He also ranked them as number 2 in the country this year. And so even though the numbers as far as offense is kind of low, I mean, third wide receivers is really good in the conference. For college football, that's number 6. They have them ranked as the number 6 team. Everything else is roughly in the 20s or 40s, right? Nationally, right? I'll give you that number in a moment, but this is why I'm bullish, and this is why this number 1 in the SEC thing really matters for what Oklahoma's trying to do. If Oklahoma's going to be successful, their head coach, his side of the ball needs to be the most dominant. We're pulling up with the most experience he's had in his tenure here as head coach. 3 years in the game, most of these players, and you've got the veterans that's been around even longer. So bringing back a Woody Washington, a Billy Bowman, and a Danny Stutzman is huge. Getting Dejon Terry back, massive, right? Ethan Downs, huge for what you're trying to do. Trace Ford making a return, massive. So I was bullish in Oklahoma on this because I feel like the defense is what's going to hold it down. And so Phil kind of writes in here, last season, this is why I like what I listen to Phil Steele and I kind of leverage it for perspective is, last season, Phil Steele said that Oklahoma would be one of his second most improved team in college football. And he said that they're probably, I think they were 8th in like the team that's going to be the most surprising, I guess you could say. And Oklahoma finished with double-digit wins last season off of a 6-7 season, as you all know that. And that was number 1 on that list was Texas A&M. They didn't make it with all the injuries. Barring injury, Oklahoma finished up with double-digit wins, as Phil Steele had predicted. And for me, that told me enough. He saw that Venables' defense was going to improve, in which it did. Now, this is the thing that was intriguing about the defense improving. As far as efficiency rating goes, this is where he had Oklahoma. So in his passing efficiency rating, Phil Steele had Oklahoma ranked at number 8 on his, right? NCAA had Oklahoma ranked at 17th. So, of course, everybody talks about, defense. Oh, Oklahoma gives up all these yards and all of this. And he explained it very eloquently in the book. He basically said, with his rankings, what he does is similar to the way the NCAA does it as far as passing efficiency and everything, but he also takes in consideration the quarterbacks that are played. So how did those quarterbacks perform the entire season on top of how they performed against Oklahoma? That's how Oklahoma moved up into top 10 from number 17 in the difference in ratings. And so Oklahoma was giving up only 56% completion percentage, which is pretty darn good, right? 18 to 20 touchdown interception ratio. So only giving up 18 passing touchdowns, 20 interceptions, and 14 points per game average. Now, wasn't perfect for the entire season. May have been a little skewed from that goose egg we got from Arkansas State, but this is the thing to consider. With the way Steele does, and this is the thing I look at, sure, Oklahoma gave up a whole bunch of yards last season. They did. They didn't give up a whole bunch of touchdowns, though, which to me is, if it's 20 to 20 and you're giving up a bunch, meh. But if you stop them from scoring, that means the defense knows how to do something, right? It's okay to kill time throughout a game. Got to stop giving up big plays, if anything, which I expect that will be minimized this season. But that was the one thing that made this defense last season a lot better than we're giving credit for. They weren't letting everybody just score on them, right? Yes, we gave up a lot of yards to Texas. One thing that we struggled with there is we gave up that punt block for a touchdown. You take that off the board, what's the score, right? It's 34-23. And we probably should have scored at halftime if, unfortunately, a catch was made. So, ifs, buts, candies, nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas, right? But the point is, Oklahoma was not giving up what everybody thought they were. They only gave up 30 points in 3 games the entire season. They weren't giving up a whole bunch of, scores overall, right? If you're giving up under 30 points just about every game in the season, you're doing something right. Like I always go back to the West Virginia game where we didn't allow a completed pass after the 3-minute mark in the third quarter. That is a huge deal for what Brent Venables is trying to produce. And so defensively, with us having the top-ranked DBs, the top-ranked linebackers, all that tells me is that experience is going to carry this team. As long as the offensive line gives Jackson Arnold enough time to stay upright and get the ball to this top wide receiver room, which is number 6 in the country to Phil Steele, and a lot of people, they consider it a minimum top 10 wide receiver room in the country. Offensive line gives them just enough time, in which I think Bill Bedenbaugh will build them to do that. There's no reason why this team doesn't win 10 games minimum. And so for me, last season, I had our floor at 10-3. I said Oklahoma was going to make a bowl game. The lowest we do is 10-3. That was our floor. Ceiling was going like 11-1, making it to the playoffs. Well, or 11-2, making it to the playoffs. Probably not winning it, but making it. Well, Oklahoma went out there, went 10-3. So we hit the floor. And Phil Steele expects Oklahoma to also win double-digit games again. But he does not expect Oklahoma to be one of the top teams in the SEC, and this is the reason why. Schedule. Playing tough in and out week over week games is really going to hurt Oklahoma when it comes to trying to stay upright and stay healthy throughout the entire season. And that's something I respect. I can't even knock that, right? I told y'all my floor for this team is 9-3. Like we need to win 9 games this season at minimum, right? We have the schedule for it. A ton of games are toss-ups. But my bullishness in this is that we have one of the best defenses in the SEC this year, period. And we don't play Georgia. And I'm anticipating that Jackson Arnold is seeing a top 3 SEC defense every day at practice. So if he can find a way, and this offensive line can find a way to give him just enough time to get rid of the ball, I anticipate this team winning 10 games. Easily. Repeat of last year. 10-win season. And then that gives also Jackson Arnold the experience to go into 25 and hopefully, for real, win something. But that's why your boy Jay has been overly bullish about what the Sooners can do, is because the numbers tell us that we are right there defensively to just get over the hump. And if we get over that defensive hump, we can do the things that most SEC teams do. Dominate defensively. Offense does enough to win games, and then the offense shows out whenever you make it to the big dance, which could potentially be playoffs. So That's what I'm thinking. Hop in the comments. Let your boy know your thoughts. How y'all feel about the assessment that with Oklahoma having the top linebacker room and the top DB room in the SEC in the minds of Phil Steele, which gives them number 2 nationally in both of those positions, can Oklahoma put together an elite defense that carries them through this entire season? I want to hear from you all because in my mind of minds, that's what gets us to 10 wins. It's all the defense. The defense does everything. If you've made it this far, you like the content, go ahead and hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. I would love for y'all to join this family of college football fans. Y'all know we talk OU football here, SEC football, college football in general. Having a blast doing it. All right, we got more stuff to talk about. We'll throw out some more videos over the week. Prepping for SEC Media Days. Your boy's excited because I will be there. Dream fulfilled. Of course, I'm stoked. So, yeah, we'll talk about that. But check out one of these videos on the screen. We'll talk soon. Peace.